What's up, guys? My name is Juan Deere. I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel for a while now, to talk about business, machinery, anything in the green industry. And I've just been a little shy to actually pull the trigger, so I figured I would give it a shot today. I'm gonna ramble on a little bit, just talk about different things on my mind. So this is video number 1 of my YouTube channel, and you know, if 100 people watch it, if one person watches it, that's cool, as long as you guys like what I have to say, and it becomes something where educational. I feel like those are some of my passions. I'm passionate about equipment, I'm passionate about teaching. I like teaching, I like coaching. I'm passionate about machinery and business, and you guys will come to find out, more about my business and what we do, and the extensive, how extensive it is. So I will have podcasts or shows about just the equipment, specific equipment, what the do's and don'ts and the pros and cons of each machinery, because we do have a lot of machinery, I will say. And it'll go into trucks too. I mean, which trucks, which bodies, the benefits, which truck is more diverse. So by all means, comment, post, share, like, whatever you do it. But one of my first comments, I guess, topics I was looking to get into today was just a business aspect. It was on the business side of things. In Southwest Florida, we've had a few hurricanes back to back the last few years. We had Ian, and then the following year we had Helene and Milton. I think there was a year gap in between those, actually. And before that, it was Irma. Before Ian, it was Irma. So we've been consistently hit with hurricanes, and when that happens, I feel like something in the economy, obviously people need to fix their homes, right? People need to fix their homes. They'll fix their landscaping. The big resorts, the big condominiums, the big money, HOA money put away, they're gonna fix the landscaping usually pretty soon, So after Ian, well, let's start with Irma. After Irma, we did a lot of work in Fort Myers Beach. Did a lot of work in St. James, on Pine Island, our local, and we didn't really get too damaged with Irma. We lost a few trees, a few trees got thrown through the ringer a little bit, which actually I should preface by saying that me and my family, we own 50 acres of palm tree groves, where we grow our own palm trees. That's gonna be a whole nother topic too. But Irma was almost okay, because it did a lot of damage. It did a lot of damage to, like, the trees and stuff. A lot of people didn't lose their homes. I mean, it wasn't as destructive as Ian was. A motherfucker. It was a monster. It was a storm of a lifetime. We hung out on Pine Island with my parents, which might sound more dangerous than it was, but my parents' house is not going anywhere. It was a new build. We felt very safe in there. Other than losing power and obviously being stranded on the island, we were very comfortable. We prepared very well for that storm. As far as, like, ourselves, we lost the barn, a big 30 by 50 barn we had just built. We we lost that one. My RV flipped over. We lost 50 or 60% of our crop, our palm tree crop, gone. Not salvageable. The other 50% was having to just wait until the tree maybe comes out of its shock, and might be sellable, might not be sellable. If it's sellable, it's going to be something we're going to just blow out. It's going to be cheap. It's going to go. And so Ian, it was tough because we had a lot of work. We had to clean up the island first. We had to help our neighbors, the neighborhood, the community. We had to help them. A lot of people, a lot of friends were counting on us with our equipment to assist in getting maybe trees out of their house, off their house, or getting their driveways cleared so they could get out. Imperative stuff. So we felt necessary to help with that first. Secondly would be after that we got our boat down. We got our boat down from the lift thanks to some friends, and we were able to start smuggling. I say smuggling because it felt like smuggling, but we were transporting goods on our boat from Pyre Harbor to Four Winds Marina. It was generators, food, gas, people. We were helping everybody. And at the time we only had one boat, but it was nonstop. My wife and kids got them off the island. They went and stayed at my in-laws' houses, and they were fine. Everybody was fine. Spirits were a little down just because we were okay. We lost quite a bit, but after driving around the island and just seeing how much other people lost, that was overwhelming. That was a lot to take in, I feel like. Especially older people that had been on the island for years and years, and like I heard a story from this lady. She said she lost everything in Charlie, everything, and they were still paying off their loan from the Charlie hurricane, and then their trailer was absolutely destroyed. I mean, there was nothing to salvage. They were just picking through the rubble for their personal belongings that they could salvage, and that was heavy. That was heavy, a lot to carry for that. That was a stressful moment for me too. Just carrying that on your back and taking that in was a lot. So, yeah, we got to work. The community came together. The community came together. We got to work. There was a lot to do, and then we did a lot of work cleaning. We made some good money, and I wouldn't say we even broke even though from what we lost and what we made. We weren't trying to kill anybody. We weren't trying to rape anybody on their prices. A lot of bad contractors, man, just screwing people and trying to rape people on their prices. Those people are not doing all that great these days anymore. You gotta respect people. You gotta respect them first of all, because if you give these ridiculous prices, they're never gonna use you again. They're gonna feel so cheated by you that it's gonna leave a terrible taste in their mouth. Which, don't get me wrong, yeah, we were charging a little more than before, but not something so outlandish that it was unfeasible, that it was disrespectful, and so. And they would brag, wow, look at, man, I made $20,000 a day. I'm like, okay, well, you're a piece of shit. Good for you, but these times don't last. There's 2, 3, 4 months maybe of that kind of work, and then you're back to scraping for $200 a day. So some of the people I helped during the hurricane, they still call me, they still refer me, you know, they're solid, and they know. And a lot of people on the island especially, we helped for free, and they're our neighbors, literally. So money's not everything when it comes to that, and especially in those turbulent times. It's very important to remember. So yeah, Ian was definitely a trip. It was a lot. And then of course we had Helene and Milton, which were, neither was bad because they didn't hit us directly. They went north of us, which caused all the back end of their storm, the hurricane, to bring in the flood levels and cause some serious flooding. So during Ian, St. James City flooded. During Helene and Milton, the north end of the island caused some flooding, and then where I live in Punta Gorda, that whole neighborhood, all of Punta Gorda, Charlotte County, they got flooded. So it was rough, a lot of flooding damage. And again, I know this is a really long way to explain these things, but I think you have to really explain the things that led up to it. So you're talking like constant years of storms. Helene and Milton was okay for us because Naples got flooded too with Helene and Milton. They got sand brought in, and we did a lot of work pulling sand from resorts in Naples, and we did a lot of work in Fort Myers Beach again for this condo we work with, and we used a lot of our equipment. But people had been paying money, you know. I mean, the insurance, great, it covered maybe a little fraction of it. People have been they've been spending their money, I believe, trying to stay alive, you know, just trying to fix their homes, make their homes livable, make sure they're safe, make sure there's no mold, make sure there's no water damage, make sure the roofs aren't gonna leak or come down on them, which is important things, which is number one priority, is keeping your family safe. And so in the landscape industry, I believe, has taken a toll because of that, you know. The people that are a little more well off, you know, they can afford to fix their house immediately, wait for insurance money when it comes, landscape their house, and that's great. But that's a small percentage, I believe, you know. And so the everyday customer that would use our jobs, would use our services, because we do a lot of work for $1,000 install, you know, 2 little trees and some bushes. And that's a volume thing, you know. We do so many of them, it's worth it. And then we have the big $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 jobs, you know, private island work. That's fantastic for us also. And so and you gotta have both. And so, and even though some of those people, the very affluent, well-off people, they're frustrated. They're spending money fixing their house over and over and over again, fixing the landscaping over and over and over again, and it's very frustrating. I was doing a job in St. James City. It was a nice-sized job, like a $20,000 job, all new rock, everything beautiful, pavers, everything, the whole everything. And we did it after Helene, and right, we were done. We were turning in the keys, you might add, you know, we were done. We had to just like pressure wash and just shine everything up and call it a day. And the second storm hit Milton, I think it was, after. So Milton came and wrecked it. So I talked to the customer, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, you know, we were done. And they super cool, understanding people, and they were like, yes, you're right, you were done, we'll pay you for that, and then we'll pay you to fix it again. And that has to be the most gut-wrenching thing for me, because I was invested on this job. I was highly invested. I was very happy with the outcome. It was beautiful. They were one of the first houses that were done on the block, and they were so happy. They loved it. And then to just get destroyed and have to do it all over again. Like I said, the money, okay, yeah, you know, you get to do it twice, more money, but it wasn't like that to me. It was like, darn, I wish that wouldn't have happened. I wish they would have just been done, and they would have been happy without having to pay twice. Granted, people, they're well off, and I'm sure it bugged them, but it wasn't the end of the world for them. That's when I get to the present time. I get to the point where I feel like this is the first year, 2025, where we haven't had a hurricane. And I think they said 15 years without having a hurricane hit or come into the Gulf at all. And so we had that. We have this break, which is great. People are, especially other companies, they're used to that hurricane money. They're used to that hurricane season coming and doing something just to keep us busy, because people have to spend. You know, they want those trees cut. They want that hazardous tree gone, or they whatever. They want to re-landscape their house. And this year we didn't have that. People still have to make those payments on those machines. They have to keep their guys, give them all those hours, and there's really nothing to do. Things are slow, and I've talked to companies bigger than mine, I've talked to companies smaller than mine, and everybody is slow. If you're in the landscape industry and you're telling me you're not slow, you're lying. You're a liar. I'm sorry. I mean, I shouldn't say that, because there's some commercial jobs that are still coming down the pipeline for some commercial landscapers, that I can see if they're busy. You know, there's some like big projects going down that might keep you busy a year or two. You know, that's probably the exception. And again, also the I guess you could say the perspective of it. You know, if it's just you and one guy, or it's just you and your dad, then it's really easy to keep yourself busy. You know, if you get a job 3 days a week, and you got a yard cleanup here and there, you might think, man, I'm killing it, I'm booming, this thing's awesome. Or I'm trimming a tree here and there a day. But if you have 10 guys on payroll, and you have 10, 15 pieces of machinery, 10, 15 trucks, keeping that much busy is a lot different than keeping yourself and somebody else busy. And no disrespect to the smaller companies, you guys rock, man. Part of me wishes I could go back to that. It was so much easier. But we are where we are, and we got to take it on. And I'm slowly getting there. So I want to say this. I want to say a lot of companies are not ready for this. They're not prepared to do what it takes to get after it in these times. They're accustomed to just being handed the work. Does that make sense? I mean, they're used to, you know, having so many estimates to do, you can't keep up. They're used to not showing up to the estimate. The customer's bugging them. Hey, you're gonna have a chance to come out. Now it's the other way around. Now the coin has flipped, and they're calling customers, seeing, hey, you need anything? Or hey, you know, somebody asked for an estimate. If they ask for an estimate, you're not out there right away, you're gonna lose it, because you're gonna go with the other guy. They're gonna go with the guy that jumps on. And a lot of companies, a lot of newer companies are not prepared for that, I believe. And so I think these times are gonna separate the boys from the men. You know, I know there's some women in this industry, and you know, hats off to them. But I think it's gonna really separate the boys from the men, because the guys that are gonna really dig deep and get after it, they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be all right. You know, and if you guys, and for those companies that know how to get her done, you know, really get after it, don't be ashamed, man. Don't be. I mean, we're all in the same boat. I wouldn't say, don't be ashamed of getting, you know, unfortunately having to let some people go. If you have to let them go, let them go. Don't be afraid to downsize. Don't be afraid to sell your truck if you have to. And that's what I'm talking about. That's just little stuff that I'm saying. Like, some people will keep the luxury truck and sell their work truck just to keep a appearance when their business is struggling, and that's just so crazy to me. And I made a Facebook post for everybody that follows on Facebook. I made a Facebook post going into kind of this, you know, just the turbulent times, and it just seemed to me like a lot of contractors, I guess, landscapers and companies have been a lot less respectful with other people's time and money. I have a few customers that are in the landscape industry that buy trees from me that have not been as respectful to their debt. And I'm sure if they had it, I'm sure they would pay. You know, it's one of those things. But you gotta pay, guys. You gotta pay, because if you burn those bridges, they're done. And I haven't called anybody out personally, and I would hate to do that, because again, I want to work with everybody, and that could damage your reputation, you know. So just be respectful of people's money, pay people what you owe them, and really just don't be afraid to take a loss. Take a loss. Sell your truck if you need to. Do what you need to do to keep your company alive in these times. Again, a lot of people are not willing to do that. They'd rather keep a facade going, keep their appearances up, even when they're struggling financially. So, and I should preface this by saying, you know, struggling financially is a loose term, just because I feel like everybody's struggle is a little different, you know. For somebody that, as a business, if I spend $10,000 before lunch, that's kind of, it is what it is, you know, fine. But if I spend $10,000 in my personal money, I'm going to shit. I'm gonna lose my mind. You know, I am so worried. And so you got to think about the perspective of things. So for some people, you know, being slow is this time of year. I'm used to being out like a month or two, and I'm really only out about a week or two. And to me, that's slow. For somebody else, that might be their norm when they're busy, you know. And so take that into account, and don't let anybody really. There's always that guy you call and ask, and he's like, man, I'm fucking so busy right now, I can't keep up, and this and that. Every time. And I've gone, you know the type of person that is. The more you talk to them, you'll run into them in this industry, and they're always doing the biggest jobs, they're always making the most money, they're always doing everything the most. And don't pay no mind to those guys. They're gonna always be there. They're not bad people. They're just they're just different, man. That's not who I am. You know, those people come to my farm and they're staring at everything. They want, oh my God, look at all this, look at all this equipment they don't know I have, and they don't know I even had, because I don't show my stuff off that much. You know, I will post about my jobs, I will post about my equipment sometimes, but it's not like, it's not in a battle. It's not like to show off, like, oh, look what I have. No, it's like, look what we're doing, guys. Look what my company's doing. Look at this job we're doing. It's pretty cool. Check it out. It's not in a hostile way. You know, it's not trying to be better than anybody else. Just a few things, guys. You know, I didn't mean to ramble on this damn much, but I'm at work. I just showed up. What time is it? I think I'm on time. I'm trying to get better at being on time. I'm usually a little late. A few minutes late, at least. But, all right, y'all. Peace.